feels as if y'all have just decided that y'all are going to castrate your constitutional duty and hand it over to someone who is unelected. It doesn't matter how many cheerleaders he had on the field campaigning for him. That doesn't mean that he gets to go in and sit atop any of our agencies. And the fact that we had a vote today and we asked to bring him in because we have a constitutional duty. We all took our oath, and maybe some of y'all just don't take it seriously, but I take it seriously when I take an oath to do a job, and my job is to look out and make sure that we don't have any kings or queens in this country. But it seems like y'all have decided that it's going to be Mr. King and his queen, and y'all can pick which one is which.
Republicans have two obsessions that have really been biting Donald Trump in the butt lately, and really specifically did today. The first is saying and posting things that ultimately always backfire. And the second obsession is with Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, Donald Trump's good friend, Jeffrey Epstein, and Elon Musk just posted something about that good friend of Donald Trump's that has just backfired in the worst way at the worst time. And it's not just Elon. Another member of the Trump administration has effectively thrown him under the bus over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and we are going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me now. Before we get into what was said by a member of Donald Trump's cabinet, then shared by Elon Musk, I want to play the clip that we have to play, because it's just so perfect.
Americans have lost a lot of trust in institutions, and I think there's been a lot of discussion, especially online and especially with young people. How do we rebuild that trust in institutions? The CIA, the FBI, all those institutions.
You're right.
Some people think that one way to build trust is to declassify things that everyone's talking about. I know you talked earlier about, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Republicans do have this obsession with Jeffrey Epstein because it fits into their just asking questions, conspiratorial. Everything is the Clintons and the Obamas, and there was a this and a list and a that. And if it could just be declassified, then our whole theory would come to fruition. But what they don't want to look at is what doesn't need to be declassified. Donald Trump's very public relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, not just relationship, close friendship that they had for years. And it seems like even times while Donald Trump was in the White House, they were still speaking. Republicans love to talk about this, but not when it comes to Donald Trump, except one Republican did well, I guess two. The first was Donald Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is calling for these Epstein files that Donald Trump won't release to be released. And the second was Elon Musk, who posted this video that's completely backfiring on Donald Trump.
Well, we know he was on the plane, not only on the plane a couple times, multiple times. He traveled internationally with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was on the plane called the Lolita Express because it supposedly had a bed in there where Jeffrey Epstein had young girls. He has been a friend of his, a continuing friend of his for years and years. Contrast that with Donald Trump, who hasn't spoken to him in many years, over a decade, after he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for bad behavior. So that's the difference there. And I think Americans see the two-tier justice system. But, we don't know. They're saying Clinton has not been to his private island, but he has traveled all over the world with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know why AG Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. They're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
I do not know why they always want to talk about this when, once again, the relationship is so public. And one of the first things he did on January 20th, I think it was squeezed in between leaving the World Health Organization and pardoning the January 6th cop beating insurrectionist, was him to declassify all these files. I don't know if anything has come from that. People are really excited, and I haven't heard anything about it since, but there was one noticeably missing, the one he kind of hesitated on that video that we saw. I think it's important to talk about this stuff. If Republicans want to do their just asking questions, conspiracy theory shtick, we should be able to throw this very obvious example in their face. And what kills me is that Elon was the one who shared this video, and Pam Bondi, who should be investigating this, really just investigating Donald Trump's relationship, one that he clearly wants to hide, is the one who brought it up in the first place. It's funny to me. And the fact that she's demanding it be released when Donald Trump has the power to do so, like, the cognitive dissonance of Republicans in this very topic is absolutely crazy to me. Especially when they want to say that, oh no, Donald Trump, that relationship ended years ago. Well, explain this. Then Jeffrey Epstein details close relationship with Trump, and newly released tapes recordings from 2017 reveal Epstein talking for some 100 hours about the ex-president, journalist Michael Wolff says. And from that article, Wolff claims the excerpt tape is a mere fraction of some 100 hours of Epstein talking about the inner workings of the Trump White House and about his long-standing, deep relationship with Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump and his buddy, his very close personal friend, who he said likes them young, split up as MAGA claims, because Donald Trump then realized that Jeffrey liking them young was different than the thing that he had already expressed. So Trump knew that, and he was publicly saying it, and he was like, this is hysterical. But then he had problems with it years later. One, I don't buy. That two, how does EP know so much about the inner workings at the Trump White House with his buddy when they haven't talked? I don't buy that either. Again, it's hilarious that Elon Musk was the one who shared this with all the problems that he's causing for Donald Trump. And this isn't the only example, literally just today, of Elon causing some problems for Donald Trump and his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Take a look at what she had to say right here.
You talked a bit about Doge. Elon Musk is currently a, quote, special government employee who also owns companies that have billions of dollars in federal contracts. You said earlier this week that he has abided by all applicable federal laws, but what steps is the Trump administration taking to address that conflict of interest?
The president was already asked and answered this question this week, and he said if Elon Musk comes across a conflict of interest with the contracts and the funding that Doge is overseeing, then Elon will excuse himself from those contracts. And he has, again, abided by all applicable laws. In the back left, go ahead.
Are you telling me I have to trust Elon Musk, possibly the most corrupt man in America? Actually, sorry, Donald Trump is the most corrupt man in America. Let's be realistic here. Let's be fair about the corruption and criminality. Trump won Elon to want to make sure we set that straight. We're supposed to trust him with avoiding conflicts of interest. Elon can't avoid breaking the law. What all this man is a walking, talking relentlessly, tweeting conflict of interest. It's why he needs to be called out. It's why Jasmine Crockett did it right here.
So, when we talk about debt, I'd ask for unanimous consent to enter into a record this article that says Donald Trump built a national debt so big, even before the pandemic, that it'll weigh down the economy for years.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so much. In fact, it talked about the fact that he ran up our debt almost $8 trillion. It was estimated to be $7.8 trillion at that time. And this is it's actually the third biggest increase ever under any presidential administration. So I don't understand how y'all gonna play the heroes. I also want to just kind of be clear about some basic level setting of civics, because it seems like civics is evading us. And listen, Governor, I actually appreciate you. I know that in today's times, for whatever reason, if you got a D or an R in front of your name, it has to be all hostile. Listen, I am a former business owner. If I was not sitting in this seat, I would still have my law firm. But, you know, we have rules, right? So I'm not allowed to practice law. I'm not allowed to do a lot of other things because ethics decides that that's not really a good thing, to make sure that the American people can trust that I don't have any divided interest. In fact, we do that for people that run our treasury typically. So I'm curious to know if you have an elected treasurer in your state. And you do, actually.
We do.
I know you do because I looked him up. And I'm curious to know. So it's my guess that he's the one that actually controls all of the treasury systems that you have, correct?
Some of the investments.
He controls some of the investments, but also monies that need to be disseminated by the state, that's done by him, correct?
Department of Management and the Treasurer's Office.
Okay. In the Treasurer's Office.
Two separate agencies.
Okay. But you have an agency that does that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as you are having this agency do that, these are people that have some sort of ethics that they have to follow, I'm sure. I'm going out on a limb because I don't know how anything works in Iowa. I'm just being honest with you.
Yes.
Okay. Here's the deal. I want the American people to understand that Democrats are not against efficiency. In fact, the last time that this country actually ran to the extent that there was a balanced budget and actually there was a surplus, it was a Democrat in the White House. His name was President Clinton. So we are not against this. What we are against is this idea that we will evade the Constitution or we will evade our own constitutional. In fact, it's not even an invasion. At this point, it feels as if y'all have just decided that y'all are going to castrate your constitutional duty and hand it over to someone who is unelected. It doesn't matter how many cheerleaders he had on the field campaigning for him. That doesn't mean that he gets to go in and sit atop any of our agencies. And the fact that we had a vote today and we asked to bring him in because we have a constitutional duty, we all took our oath, and maybe some of y'all just don't take it seriously, but I take it seriously when I take an oath to do a job, and my job is to look out and make sure that we don't have any kings or queens in this country. But it seems like y'all have decided that it's going to be Mr. King and his queen, and y'all can pick which one is which. But either way, I want to also talk about, Governor, I'm curious to know if you know the answers to these questions. Which party controls the White House?
Republican.
Which party controls the Senate?
Republican.
Which party controls the House?
Republican.
Is that about what the makeup is in Iowa?
Yes.
And that has allowed you to be able to get your agenda across, correct?
Yes.
And you haven't had to bring in somebody to basically usurp any types of norms because you worked through the process, correct?
Well, I did executive orders,
Yes or no?
2080
Yes or
agreements,
no?
and then
Yes-
went
yes
through the
or no? Because
legislature
we've
as
only
well.
got
It wasn't all of the
I'm
above.
going to reclaim my time because I
All of
only
the
got
above.
so much time left.
All of the
I
above.
also want to point out that you specifically talked about that you recently had 3 national declarations for disasters, and I want to enter into the record a unanimous consent. Trump moves to abolish FEMA, shift disaster response to states.
Without objection.
And my final unanimous consent I'd ask says that Mike Johnson's budget plan is at risk of collapse, even though we know that y'all control all 3 levers of government. So if this is what y'all want to do, then go ahead and clean it up and fix it and just go through the process. And honestly, there's nothing that we will be able to say about it.
Order.
And with that, I will yield.
Tell me, this Republican's not breaking the law. Why can't he talk about not breaking the law if Elon's not doing anything wrong? Why can't he answer questions in front of Congress? If Elon is having such great success, why can't we learn more about it? Is it because maybe you're lying? He's lying. It's all a lie. It's a facade. Oh, what a shock. First time ever. Mark it down. Oh, these people are the worst. But we are going to be calling them out every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.